Welcome to 21st Sports, and we're talking the Miami Dolphins versus the Cincinnati Bengals and their Week 4 matchup played on Thursday Night Football, September 29th, 2016. And the Dolphins, they had a lot of injuries, a lot of players that they did not have on the field for this game. The Bengals saw the return of Vontaze Burfict, and he definitely bolstered that defense for sure, as he is a defensive leader for the Bengals. But in this game, Mike Nugent was very active. He started the scoring off with a 42-yard field goal, and that put the first points on the board as the Bengals led early 3-0. Then just moments later, less than a minute later, Ryan Tannehill aired it out for Kenny Stills, and he went 74 yards for the touchdown. And Miami took their first and what would end up being their only lead of the game, as they were now up 7-3. But before the first quarter would come to a close, the Bengals would take the lead back as Andy Dalton drove them 90 yards down the field, capped off by a 7-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Green. And now the Bengals were back in the lead by 3 with the score 10-7. So that was the score after one quarter of play. Then in the second quarter, Mike Nugent added a pair of field goals, his second and third field goals of the game respectively, a 22-yarder and a 43-yarder, and it was 16-7 at halftime. Then in the third quarter, Nugent added his fourth field goal of the game, a 22-yarder, and it was 19-7. And in the fourth quarter, Nugent hit his fifth field goal of the game, a 47-yard field goal, and that made it 22-7. That was the final score. So the Bengals holding down the Miami Dolphins offense, only allowing 7 points, and that came off that one big play, that 74-yard bomb. But the one thing, the defense played really good, although they do need some work on their red zone offense, as they were forced to settle for those 5 field goals in this game. Of course, 2 of those were in the red zone, but Nugent, Mr. Reliable, getting it through the uprights. Of course, you did see Jeremy Hill did get banged up early on in this game, and that kind of hurt their red zone offense. He did return, though, so he should be all right. But let's look at the numbers here. Andy Dalton, 22 for 31, 296 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty good game for Dalton. Jeremy Hill, he had 21 carries for 71 yards. As I said, he had to leave the field for at least a few sequences there, but he did end up carrying the majority of the load on the ground. Giovanni Bernard was struggling, though, when Hill had to leave the game there for a little bit. He just had 10 carries for 18 yards. But A.J. Green was catching everything thrown his way. 10 receptions, 173 yards, and a touchdown for A.J. Green, as he had a huge day. He had almost half of the catches that were completed by Dalton. But Ryan Tannehill, he was 15 for 25, just 189 passing yards. Of course, 70-plus yards came on that touchdown, 74 yards to be exact. But he did have that 1 touchdown and 1 interception. The running game was pretty much non-existent for the Dolphins. Jay Ajayi, just 6 carries for 33 yards. Of course, they were without Arian Foster, didn't suit up. Kenny Stills was their leading receiver with that 1 catch for 74 yards, which was a touchdown. Of course, Jarvis Landry had 7 catches for 61 yards. Then we look at the defense for the Bengals. Carlos Dunlap, 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Geno Atkins had 1.5 sacks. Will Clark with a sack. Chris Lewis-Harris with an interception. And Johnson had the half sack as well. And for the Dolphins, McCain had a sack, and Branch had a forced fumble. We look at the first downs. The Bengals, 19 first downs, only 8 first downs for Miami. Very dominant performance by the Bengals right there. More than double the first downs. Their defense really was out in full force on Thursday night. And speaking of which, on third downs, they only allowed 2 third downs to be converted for first downs, as the Dolphins were just 2 for 11, only 18% conversion rate. and they went for it once on fourth down, did not convert. For Cincinnati, they were 3 for 15 on third down. They were struggling on third down as well, just 20%. And they were 1 for 1, though, on fourth down. Total net yards, 362 for the Bengals, 222 for the Dolphins. Then we look at the penalties in this game. Not too many penalties. 7 against the Dolphins, 68 yards. 6 against the Bengals for 40 yards. The Dolphins lost the only fumble that they had. And the Bengals, they had 2 fumbles, but they were able to recover both of their own fumbles. And then we look at the red zone. The Bengals 1 for 3, just 33%, having to settle for field goals, although they did get that one red zone touchdown, that 7-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Green. That was their first touchdown of the game, their actually only touchdown of the game, which gave them back the lead after the Dolphins had their first touchdown there early in the first. But the Dolphins, though, they didn't even make a trip to the red zone as the Bengals defense just totally dominated their offense. Other than that one play, you take that one play away, it was one of the most dominant performances we've seen by a defense so far in this first month of football. They just really shut down Miami. Of course, Miami, they were without a lot of players. They didn't have their tight end, they didn't have the running back, they were missing some of their offensive linemen. But still, a very dominant performance by the Bengals, and they almost had a shutout. By the time of possession, 38 minutes, 2 seconds for Cincinnati, 21 minutes, 58 seconds for Miami. So Cincinnati dominating in all the statistical categories. They come away with a big win, a much-needed win after coming off of that loss, but they get back into the win column. And the Bengals are right there in the thick of things, right back getting the W's. Is they've got the really good defense as they showed on Thursday night, and with the return of Vontaze Burfict, definitely they should be seeing more defensive play like that moving forward. They're now at 500, and really sky's the limit for the Bengals in 2016. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions, which plays and performances stuck out to you. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great week, and have a great weekend, and enjoy all the sports.